Things Heard and Seen, a drama horror mystery directed by Shari Berman and Robert Pulcini, and based on the popular novel by Elizabeth Brundage. And it stars James Norton, Amanda Seyfried, and Natalia Dyer. So Things Heard and Seen is about an artist who relocates to the Hudson Valley, which is rural upstate New York, where she begins to suspect that her marriage has a sinister darkness, one that rivals her new home's history. So here's one that caught my eye a few months back, but I can't say that I've been super anxious about seeing it. But it's still a really good film though. So we have two very interesting characters portrayed really well by very good performances. Then on top of that, the house carries a lot of historical tragedies. Plus, there is a lot of psychological traumas boiling beneath the surface of a lot of these characters. There's honestly some really great ingredients here overall. Great performances and great chemistry amongst the cast. I was pretty much sold on this whole idea. Amanda Seyfried and James Norton's character's struggling marriage is basically a ticking time bomb from the moment the film starts. And the story has a non-chronological narrative where we are filled in throughout the runtime leading up to the current events, which is fine. I don't really mind this format, but there's some aspects of the movie that kind of works against it. And that specifically being the way that the exposition unravels. It becomes really generic in that way, utilizing supernatural forces, stumbling upon historical documents, or relying on one of the locals to misspeak, slip up and provide more details to fill us in on what the hell is actually going on here. And it's not really a hard film to follow though. It can just get to a point where the 2-hour runtime starts to drag a bit. And you know, you can really get lost in that or really get bored out of your mind if you're really not into it. And for some viewers, this could lead to the plot feeling very convoluted, which I've also seen from some research, many people saying in reviews about the books as well. Not so much the convoluted part, but people are saying that it feels like it gets to a point where it drags because the book is so long and it's probably longer than it should be. And just for the record, you're not missing anything really if you haven't read the books. I've done a little research on it and checked it out and looked into it, and it seems to be pretty different from the books for the most part, especially not so much where it ends up, but how we get there. A lot of those things are different. So you're not really missing out by not reading the books. I did enjoy it though. I think the book had some supernatural moments as well. I only read through some summaries and excerpts pertaining to the original work, but I believe supernatural elements were present in the source material. But I'm saying that because in this film, the supernatural stuff feels so forced to me. They honestly could have removed the lackluster ghostly elements for the film adaptation, and they still would have had a pretty strong screenplay here on their hands, with just the sinister history of their new home alongside their personal issues pertaining to their marriage. And again, I'll say it was a good movie, so don't get me wrong, but I think that a lot of the strong critique comes from what could have been. Like, I could see an alternate version of all of these events that took place in the film if certain elements were removed. But just looking at this film for what it is, it's actually not bad. I mean, a lot of the mystery elements throughout the movie had me guessing as a viewer. Like, I really wasn't too sure sometimes where the movie was going. And honestly, I would be really surprised if anyone with no knowledge of the source material was actually able to guess where this film is going. Like, if you were able to do that, I would say comment down below, but I don't trust you. And this is mainly because the story itself created a lot of possibilities to me as to where the characters and outcome could have ended up. So I'm giving Things Heard and Seen a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it, like I said before, and based off my knowledge of how things wrapped up in the books, I'd say that I much prefer the modifications made in the film over the novel. And it's definitely more of a psychological thriller mystery rather than a horror thriller. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So keep that in mind if you're really interested in this movie because you think it's going to be like the next big Netflix horror film. I mean, at the least, psychological horror, maybe. But definitely not what you were probably expecting if you have set expectations already from seeing the trailers. And Things Heard and Seen will be available April 29th, exclusively streaming on Netflix. But there you have it. If you enjoyed the content, you know what to do. Thank you for watching.